I have the Oris Diver 65 Maxi Topper Edition in hand today that I want to present, share with you guys, talk about the good things, talk about the not so good things. I'd like to thank my friend Zach, who sent this in for me to present and review. Zach is working with Topper Jewelers. A lot of you guys are familiar with Topper Jewelers. They're an authorized dealer in California for a number of different brands, but they're an authorized dealer for Oris. And I believe my first Oris that I bought, which was years ago now, I think I actually got it from Topper from their pre-owned inventory. That was a 40 millimeter Aquis. So Topper Jewelers, they designed this Maxi Topper Edition in conjunction with Oris. And really what they were trying to do, they were trying to bring a watch to the market, a limited exclusive model that they can sell that is not just a tribute or a throwback to a retro design. They were really trying to think, hey, if it is the 1960s, the mid 1960s right now, and we are going to release a diver watch for the rapidly expanding community of scuba divers, of skin divers, what would we do? And this is what they've come up with. So there's going to be a few differences between this Maxi edition and a standard production version. And I think Oris would be wise to incorporate some of these aspects into their standard production versions of the Diver 65. So let's get to that here. I love the fact that we no longer have the old radium superluminova or the faux Tina, as it's sometimes referred to. We don't even have C3. We have a perfectly white, desaturated look in natural light. And then in low light, you guys can see this is BGW9 from Superluminova, and it looks great, nice and potent. I love the cyan or the aqua tone here. And you guys can see it's actually improved from previous generations of the Diver 65 from Oris. I've owned two, and I can't say the Lume was very good on either of them. And it also didn't look that great under the macro lens. And this, as you guys can see under the macro lens, looks nice and even. It's not too thick, doesn't have a lot of undulation there in the printing. So I think overall that is a huge improvement to the look, both functionally when it comes to how potent and how long lasting the BGW9 is, but aesthetically, how it looks in natural light. And again, I think Oris should maybe look into using BGW9 in some of their Diver 65 models, because this is a really great move. Now, another difference is instead of the date feature, we have a no date. So technically it's still the Oris 733 caliber, which essentially is an SW200-1 that's been modified to remove the date feature. So if I unthread the crown here, the resting position is my winding position, and then I pop it out to the last position, or technically the first position, and I can hack the balance. 26 joules, 4 heartbeat frequency, 38 hours of power reserve, and the signature red Oris rotor that you can't see because we have a polished case back here, fashioned out of stainless steel. Now, my biggest knock on the Sellita, I know a lot of you guys have heard me say this in my multiple Oris reviews, but you guys can see this is regulated to a tolerance of -5 to +20 seconds per day, which is a window of 25 seconds in one 24-hour period of time, which isn't good, especially when you're spending over $2,000 on a Swiss dive watch. You want to see tighter tolerances than that. Now, in my experience with multiple Sellita calibers that I've owned in multiple Oris watches, you're going to get better than that. Obviously, it's kind of a luck of the draw thing, but I've averaged about +8 to +10 seconds per day on most of my Oris Sellita calibers, with some of them being a little bit more accurate. So guys, Oris owners, in the comment section, please shout out what you normally get accuracy-wise with your Oris movements that carry Sellita calibers. I'm guessing that it's going to be a lot tighter than that 25-second window, which really doesn't sound very appealing from a specs perspective. Now let's talk about the way this wears and fits. My wrists are 7.25 inches in circumference. One of my favorite things is the dramatic step taper of this oyster style bracelet. We have roughly 6 millimeters of taper, which, with most watches, you're going to get between 2 and 4 on the high end. This has 6 millimeters of taper, and I love that. It does make the watch, a bit top heavy. So if you wear your watches really loose, you'll feel the watch head maybe sliding around your wrist, a little bit. But man, having that taper really is comfortable, and I'm a fan. I love that. It's one of my favorite things about my Rolex Submariner is the 4 millimeter taper from the lugs down to the clasp. So I like to see that. There's another little nitpick here, and that is stylistic. It is the faux rivets on the bracelet. I could probably do without those. I know some of you feel similarly, just from other comments that you've made on previous Diver 65 reviews from me. But you know what? It's not a big deal. It doesn't really affect the day-to-day wearability or comfort or anything like that. It's just, personal preference. Do you like the look or do you not care for it? What it's doing is it's strengthening the tie-in to those watches from 60 years ago, from the mid 1960s that had that. And that was how oyster bracelets were generally constructed back in the day. So I recognize the design inspiration, but I wonder if it's necessary. Please chime in the comments what you think about that. Another element that I really enjoy is the thin profile of the mid case. It's polished. I like how the lugs arc down, and most of the height of this watch comes from this dramatic bubble sapphire crystal that carries anti-reflective treatment on the inner or the underside of the crystal. So it really plays thin on wrist, and I like the large crown and how it protrudes at the 3 o'clock position. You can see almost a sculpted element of the side profile of the case and just how it bumps out to where that crown is that you don't see on the non-crown side. So again, I love the attention to detail. I think this looks really good. I like the full indexing of the aluminum bezel insert. If this was ceramic, it would be, more scratch resistant, but it wouldn't have that old school retro flair to it. So I like the fact that Topper really thought about the details. They desaturated the lume and they didn't add ceramic. They didn't tweak this and change it into a contemporary piece. They still wanted to really, hey, what would it be like if I was selling to scuba divers in the mid 1960s? What would I be offering them that's functional and fresh? So I think they did a great job. Enough rambling about that. Let's talk about the tactile elements. I'll show you the bezel action here, and I'll place it right up next to my dynamic microphone so you guys can get an accurate sense of the mechanical sound and how it feels. It really feels good. In fact, with the previous Diver 65s that I've owned, I don't remember them feeling this good. So there's not a lot of torque needed to turn the bezel. There's good grip here with the coin edging, the enlarged teeth on the bezel. And overall, it's got a nice clicky, almost springy feel. There's a touch amount of backplay, but I think that could be attributed to just the kind of the springy nature of the action. I really like this. And in fact, I think it sounds great. It feels great. It's precise. It doesn't move accidentally. Like, it's not that loose. So overall, I think the bezel has been improved here with this Maxi Topper edition. Now, one more difference between a standard Diver 65 and this limited version is you get an included Tropic style strap with the purchase in the box. And my first Diver 65 that I owned, I bought it on the Tropic strap. And I've got to say, that was the most comfortable rubber strap I think that I've owned out of any brand, possibly outside of the latest Omega Seamaster strap. I did try one of those, and that one was fantastic as well. But I've got to say, the Tropic strap, very supple, very comfortable, has a nice weight and flex to it. It's not stiff. It doesn't pick up lint, or dust or particulates. And you'll notice this one carries the quick release system on the underside of the rubber. So that's great to see. I like the fact that you get two different straps here. That is appropriate because the retail price is a little bit more expensive than what you would find on a standard production, non-limited version of the Diver 65. So retail price on this, $2,450. It's exclusive to Topper Jewelers in California. And I've got to note that $200 from each sale of one of these watches will be donated to the Curiosity Museum, which is a local museum close to Topper Jewelers. And specifically, it's going toward the Illuminati, a limited time exhibit that will teach children all about light, including how watch dials use phosphorescent illumination in low light. So I think that's great. Oris, they donate to a lot of nonprofits and charities. So it's great to see this Topper limited edition, how a good portion, almost 10% of the overall price is going toward a nonprofit. That's always something that I can get behind as a watch enthusiast. So just to wrap up this video, let's talk about the good again, and then we'll talk about the bad. I love the way this looks with the black, the white tone of the BGW9, and then that hint of red or rust in the Lume pip and on the tip of the running seconds hand. I think aesthetically, this is a really attractive, very versatile watch, nice and thin. It wears great. I like the fact that it has an additional tropic strap, and it's not just an extra strap. It's a really enjoyable strap to wear, great comfort, very well executed. Negative elements, I could do with tighter tolerances when it comes to the regulation of the Solita caliber within the case. Plus 20 to minus 5 seconds per day. I know it sounds kind of scary. I know you're going to be getting likely better accuracy than that, but I think, over $1,500, it needs to be tighter than that. And then the only other thing is I could personally do without the faux rivet style, but that's a minor nitpick. Overall, this is a really fun watch. I hope you guys have enjoyed taking a look at this. I hope that it's come across well in the pictures, the macro shots, the video that I've dropped into the presentation, and that you guys have a good sense of what this watch would be like on your wrist. I've really enjoyed my time with it. So big thank you to you, Zach. Big thank you to Topper Jewelers and to Oris. I do have, I've got a couple more Oris watches on the way to present, a Big Crown pointer date in red, as well as the Hangang edition of the Oris Aquas, beautiful green version. So stay tuned for that. More Oris content on the way. I'll put a link to Topper Jewelers in the description of this video. There's only 165 units available. So, if you like this, I would be quick with the trigger pull if you want to secure one. So thanks for watching, guys. Please reach out with questions, and I'll see you next time.